ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta imetekeleza miradi mbalimbali kwenye sekta ya afya kuhakikisha Wakenya wanapata huduma bora za afya na kwa bei nafuu. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254.
The Kenya we want is one in which no Kenyan should leave the country so as to receive the medical care they require.
Kila mtu amefahamu kuna linda mama na anakuja hospitalini na anasaidika hapa. Ikiwa ni operation ni bure. Ikiwa atazaa mwenyewe pia ni bure.
Hakuna mtu anafaa kukosa kupata huduma ya afya akienda kwa hospitali ya serikali.
Good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News. My name is Jacky, Wambiru. Our sign language interpreter is Byron Abuli. Well, remember we have a comprehensive bulletin lined up this afternoon. And to kick us off, rescuers in Siaya County are digging through the rubble in desperate attempts to find 8 men trapped in a mine in a Bimbo area of Bondo County. The 8 were trapped when the walls of a mining shaft caved in on Thursday afternoon.
Efforts to try and rescue 8 miners trapped at a gold mine in Abombo are yet to bear fruits. Residents and fellow miners have since Thursday been carefully combing through the rubble, hoping to free the victims. It is reported that those captured in the collapsed mine are still locked in the rubble. Bondo Deputy County Commissioner Richard Karani, while at the scene Thursday, indicated that arrangements were being made in collaboration with Siaya County government to hasten efforts to save those trapped.
Natarajia kupata excavator kwa muda usiokuwa mrefu, lakini ningependa kushukuru vijana wetu ambao wamejitolea bila kuchoka ili kuweza kuokoa wananchi wetu wa Bimbo. Tunaendelea kuhamasisha wachimba migodi wetu kuhakikisha kwamba area zao za kufanya kazi imekuwa license ili kuepukana na ajali kama hizi ambazo hazijakarimiwa. Kwa hivyo tunaomba kila mchimba migodi kuhakikisha kwamba area yake ya kazi ama migodi yake imekuwa license.
10 miners were on duty, but 2 were quick to get out with minor injuries and were treated at Uyawi Health Center and discharged. Kamchemenza for Lunchtime News.
In other news, civil society groups in Nakuru have called for the enactment of 3 bills designed to curb teen pregnancies in the country. The rights activists say the Maternal, Newborn, Adolescent Child Health Bill, Reproductive Health Bill, and East Africa Community Sexual Reproductive Health Rights Bill hold the key to elimination of early pregnancies and the reduction of HIV prevalence in vulnerable groups. Let's take a look.
Under the auspices of Nakuru Reproductive Health Network, the lobbyists said the bills should be approved by respective law-making organs before the lapse of the life of the current parliament.
We want to tell our legislators that from the County Assembly of Nakuru, we want to see the MNCH bill going through, because it's going to save most of lives of our women who are dying because of the circumstances brought into place by teenage pregnancies.
Nakuru Reproductive Health Network Chairman Martin Lunalo noted that though the bills also advocate for the protection of women living with HIV and those living with disability against abuse, every time they proposed, some Kenyans, including the church, vehemently opposed them.
that we are here to tell our partners in terms of the government entities that we have seen increase in teenage pregnancies in this country. We have seen increase in high rate of infection of HIV and AIDS amongst our young people in the Republic of Kenya. And as a Nakuru community, we are not ready and we are not willing to let that continue.
Nakuru County Executive Committee Member for Health Dr. Gishoki Kariuki said teenage pregnancies and HIV infections among youngsters had reached alarming proportions in the county.
Teenage pregnancies. It denies our girls the chance to progress, both academically or professionally, in relation to the other girls who do not get teenage pregnancies or their counterparts, the male children. It's like we have a crisis with teenage pregnancies, where in some parts of this county, it is as high as 18% of all the girls.
In Kilifi County, however, incidences of early pregnancies have decreased thanks to strategies targeting counties in the region. Kilifi County Reproductive Health Coordinator Kenneth Miriti noted that the number had dropped from 32% in 2018 to 14% this year.
Kuanzia 2018 mpaka saa hii tumekuwa na ile tunaita kwa Kiingereza downward trajectory ya kupunguza mimba za mapema. 2018 tulikuwa 32%, tumeteremka mpaka 14% mwaka huu, na tunaangalia kwamba ikifika mwaka wa 2022 mwisho probably tutakuwa tumeenda kwa 1 digit, ambayo itakuwa ni a very big step tutakuwa tumepiga ya kupunguza visa vya mimba za utotoni.
Miriti said the county hopes to eradicate the vice in the near future. Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
Political and religious leaders from Nakuru County have come out to condemn a bill on legalizing prostitution, which was sponsored by Nakuru East Member of Parliament David Gikaria. The leaders termed the bill as unethical and going against the values of the people of Nakuru and the country at large.
Ukahaba ni dhambi. Ukiita kwa jina yoyote ile, smart ama nini, ukahaba ni dhambi. Na sisi kama wacha Mungu, na haswa mimi mwenyewe nasema nimekataana na jambo hilo. Kuhalalisha ukahaba ni kumaanisha sisi tumeshindwa kusaidia watu wetu. Tumeshindwa kabisa kusaidia vijana wetu. Tumepatiwa mamlaka ya kubadilisha maisha ya wananchi wetu, lakini tumeshindwa katakata kubadilisha maisha ya wananchi wetu. Mpaka sasa imefika wakati tunawaambia endeni mkauze miili yenu.
Still on health matters, cross-border traders and truck drivers have been urged to take advantage of a vaccination drive launched along the Northern Corridor and get vaccinated. The vaccination drive launched by Trademark East Africa targets truck drivers who are at risk of infection due to the nature of their job.
Speaking during the vaccination drive launch at the Busia Border Customs, Head of Delegation Trademark East Africa Ahmed Farah said the campaign will provide opportunities for drivers to get the jab.
We have been looking at ways at which we can support the cross-border traders, truck drivers, continue with businesses across the borders despite the COVID-19 pandemic hitting us and curtailing our economic activity.
Farah also urged residents not to let their guard down and ensure they continue adhering to the COVID-19 measures.
We are really excited with the enthusiasm demonstrated by the people of Busia to come and initiate this vaccination drive.
Morgan Lesson from Danida, a partner group, reiterated the importance of ensuring safety of truck drivers along the borders for successful trade.
I have observed enthusiasm among the truck drivers. I have enthusiasm among the cross-border traders. People really have come forward to receive this generous offer from the government.
Trademark East Africa is partnering with East African Community and others to carry out COVID-19 vaccination of long-distance drivers. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I'm Wamboy Otiende.
Environmentalists and wildlife conservationists in Tana River County say they are opposed to plans by the Kenya Defence Forces to hive off parcels of land in Kipini area. The environmentalists have urged that the move will destroy the wildlife's habitat at the Kipini Reserve and encourage human-wildlife conflict.
The National Land Commission has been urged to protect the Kipini ecosystem in Tana River from a looming incursion by the Kenya Defence Forces. Speaking during a public participation event in the area, locals said the land should remain a sanctuary.
Kama KDF watachukua hilo ardhi, wanaenda kuichukua kuweka ng'ombe kule ndani ama kufanya security. Ardhi ni nyingi, mbona wanataka kukuja pale kwa conservancy?
Residents had been invited to give their views on the proposed acquisition of the 40,000 acres of land by the government on behalf of the Kenya Meat Commission.
And there'll be a lot of biodiversity loss and environmental degradation if Kipini Wildlife Conservancy is going to be turned into another land use apart from the conservation.
Mwananchi wa Kipini ambaye anaondolewa katika hizo sehemu zinazotaka kufanywa mambo ya military, kuna wananchi ambao wanahangaika, wakitolewa pale hawana makazi, hakuna mahali wataishi.
The residents said they may eventually lose their land if the proposal is adopted. Reporting for Lunchtime News, Amamboi Otiende.
Now, First Lady Margaret Kenyatta Friday hosted the 2021 Beyond Zero Summit at State House, Nairobi, and this year's theme was dubbed Increasing Investments for Primary Health Care, where she awarded nurses and midwives for their efforts in delivering primary health services. Now, let's take a look of what unfolded.
Special day for Beyond Zero because it gives me the honor and privilege to recognize and appreciate the role of our health workers, especially nurses and midwives, for their outstanding accomplishments in communities in which they serve. To me, you are all winners. The theme of this year's summit, Increasing Investment for Primary Health Care, resonates with investments we have made to help us forge stronger, more equitable, more accessible healthcare for all. I admire and deeply respect the healthcare stakeholders for the innumerable sacrifices you make on a daily basis to move our country forward. We continue to focus on reducing and eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV and syphilis in order to achieve our path validation by 2022. Our commitment towards the elimination of social injustices against women and girls, including female genital mutilation, by 2022, and ending all forms of gender-based violence by 2026 remains a priority for the government.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is set to conduct a series of activities in various parts of Isiolo County starting Saturday. This is aimed at sensitizing both county and national government workers as well as members of the public on the need to join the fight against graft for a better society. The Anti-Corruption Week will end on 9th December to mark the International Anti-Corruption Day.
Speaking at the Isiolo County headquarters during the launch of the Anti-Corruption Week, Deputy CEO Abdi Mohamud said some of the activities said to take place during the special week include training sessions for all county and national government staff members, religious leaders, and civil society organizations on their role to the fight against corruption.
Ile kazi tunafanya saa hii ni ile tunaita prevention na education. Sababu commission kazi yake sio kushika tu watu. Kazi yake pia ni kuelimisha watu na kujaribu kuzuia kabla corruption haijafanyika. Vile madaktari wengi wao wanatuambia prevention is better than cure.
Caravan is also set to traverse the vast county to sensitize members of public to also join the fight against graft by refusing to give or take bribes, as well as acting as whistleblowers in an effort to eradicate the vice.
Na leo ndio mwanzo yake na hii caravan ya leo ili kuelimisha wananchi kuwa wawe katika mstari wa mbele kuangalia na kuchunguza na kutoa maripoti, na pia wao wenyewe kuwa na ile nidhamu ama ethics ya kuhakikisha kila mtu anaishi bila kuwa na ufisadi.
Well, that report brings us to our first break here on Lunchtime News. Well, some of the stories that are still coming up ahead, we shall be taking a look at the Bondo mine tragedy, trying to follow up on the rescue efforts that are still ongoing. Remember, earlier on we had mentioned that 8 men had been trapped in a mine in a Bimbo area of Bondo County. Well, let's take that break. Don't go too far. More news coming up.
Wambiru is an acclaimed Kenyan street artist and muralist. He has created works in public spaces around the world, and his latest collaboration is on a prestigious campaign design in Kenya. Wambiru will be on the show this Friday with Shiksha Arora, right here on Easy Friday on KBC Channel 1.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email newsroom@kbc.co.ke, call 0723 892 654 or 0734 780 124.
When I was admitted, I could pay. I did my own transaction. I paid for my admission.
Yes, yeah.
But by the time I'm being discharged, I couldn't see my phone.
Wow.
So I couldn't pay for my. Someone else had to do it. I could still see bright colors, but I couldn't tell details anymore. And that's when it hit me that I'm actually going to lose my sight completely. I begged to die so many times. I would wake up and I'm like, why am I alive? I thought we agreed yesterday I should have died. And then I'd be awake.
businessman is leading from behind.
Hii si haki. Kusema kweli nilipaswa kwa nimemaliza masomo siku ya leo.
Na sio malize by the way, nani amekukataza? Na unasinya by the way.
I Theophilus Hatito from Kisumu City, the land of the great people.
I'm vying for the topmost position of this institution.
Adito, you can make me your first lady.
Mr. Man, what is funny? Nothing. I just wanted to know how it feels to have a trust.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
It's his will, but it is not mine.
He has the strength of a god. I saw it with my own eyes.
He is not a god!
Samson, the Philistines are upon you.
My strength is now your strength.
What you have been. My name is Samson, and you will face the wrath of God.
Welcome back. Now let's proceed. The Kenya Ports Authority has handed over a 60-bed capacity dormitory block to Shimolateo High School to ease the students' population bulge witnessed at the school. The 3.9 million shilling dormitory block was partly co-founded by KPA, who donated 2.9 million shillings under their corporate social investment program, with the school topping up the balance.
Speaking during the handing over ceremony held at the school on Wednesday, KPA Acting Managing Director, Ambassador John Mwangemi, said that the timeliness of the new facility could not be gainsaid as the school faces a student population pressure following the government's 100% school transition directive.
Student numbers are steadily increasing, with the current admission numbers standing at over 400 annually. I'm sure this has put significant strain on the accommodation.
Student population at Shimolateo High School has been on a steady rise, with the population standing at a staggering 1,647 students, with the current admission rate being about 500 students annually. The acting KPA Managing Director further indicated that KPA is committed to investing more resources to build more school infrastructure to accommodate rising students' population.
Between the year 2000 and 2020, KPA has made substantial contribution in the educator sector by constructing dormitories, classrooms, libraries, and laboratories in over 50 schools within Coast Region.
This is a school of choice by the rest of Kenyans. So that's why our population is increasing like that. We are making an appeal, not only to KPA, but to the rest of our organizations and well-wishers to see that this is the school in the coastal region.
The rising population has resulted to accommodating challenges, which he called on the schooled old boys to contribute towards addressing. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Stephanie Akiri.
Drama ensued outside the Gatundu Law Courts in Kiambu County after two middle-aged men were shot by unknown assailants minutes after winning a long-standing land case that has been pending in court for 2 years. Cousins Paul Mokoi and Paul Mokoi Wanyoroku were shot in the limbs by an unknown assailant.
According to family members, a land dispute pitting them and a man who claims to have been sold their land by their late grandfather has been in court for years, causing frequent confrontations between the rival parties.
Leo kulikuwa na kesi kotini Gatundu ambapo walienda na wakaenda kwa judge na kumaliza kesi yao, ndo walitoka hapo nje wakapata kuna mtu amewagoja na ndio akaanza kuwashambulia na marisasi.
Mukui and Munyoroku had just received the good news from the court when the shooting incident happened outside the court gate where they had gone to shield themselves from the heavy rains.
Walikuwa kwa kotini kesi ya shamba, lakini nilisikia juu alishinda, mwenye alishindwa ndio maybe alisababisha hii yote. Hii mashamba ilianza kitambo hata kabla sisi hatujazaliwa. Wanashidaga high court na hawajaiona nini suluhisho. Kule tunahangaika sana kule majumbani. Manyumba kuchomwa juu ya hatuna sababu.
The two were rushed to Gatundu Level 5 Hospital, where they received first aid treatment before they were transferred to Thika Level 5 Hospital for specialized medical care. Police have launched investigations into the incident. Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Stephanie Akiri.
Now let's talk business, where funeral and medical covers are the most claimed insurance products by members of savings and credit cooperatives. This has pushed overall insurance claims up 5 times in the last 2 years due to disruptions caused by COVID-19 misfortunes. Underwriters say the claims surged as the Saccos lost business membership and contributions as insurance companies moved in to cover Sacco members.
In March 2020, at the height of COVID-19, the Insurance Regulatory Authority directed insurance companies to ensure all policy holders affected by the pandemic are covered. This opened doors for members, including those in the cooperative movement, to seek solace when the pandemic hit its peak in the country.
Various cooperative societies have given to the members, and especially this year, when we have been faced by COVID-19 pandemic, we have supported the cooperative societies by paying claims that are actually COVID-related.
According to industry data, between January and September this year, the insurer that covers cooperative movements had paid claims totaling over 1.7 billion shillings, with stakeholders in the Sacco sector noting that the levels of losses and disruptions differed from one business to the other at the height of the pandemic.
We've seen more of loss of life in the last 2 years than we've had before. And we've also seen members struggle in terms of servicing their loans, and we didn't have this before, though we can see a bit of recovery. But I would say that that is the biggest challenge around the industry at this particular time.
When loans go into default and the members have died, unless you have a way to recover that, then the society will be at a loss.
Underwriters, however, say they continue facing increased policy cancellations on one hand and rising claims on the other as COVID-19 continues to linger amid economic recovery. Alan Nauko, Lunchtime News.
The proposed ban on the use of pesticides has pushed farmers in Baringo County to consider alternative methods of keeping their yields healthy. Companies are now training farmers on the use of organic manure to reduce the use of chemical pesticides.
According to health experts, of the 1,345 pesticide products that are registered for use in crop production in Kenya, 11 pesticides are classified as highly hazardous by the World Health Organization. WHO has listed another 237 as moderately hazardous. Experts say out of this, 24 pesticides are classified as cancer-causing, while another 24 chemicals are prone to causing mutations in DNA, causing developmental disorders in human beings. The government has announced plans to ban some of these pesticides in the Kenyan market, causing major backlash from their manufacturers.
They are very good plants which can produce organic pesticides if actually worked upon properly.
As a mitigation measure, farmers are being urged to use eco-friendly products to boost production. Some organizations have started training farmers on how to use organic fertilizers as opposed to harmful pesticides.
They can kill aphids, they can kill fall armyworms, and all sorts of worms and pesticides that can destroy our farms.
Also, we know that the chemical pesticides are actually contribute to climate change
They're also destroying our soils, and they're also giving our farmers diseases.
Counties in the arid and semi-arid areas that are always on the receiving end of poor rainfall are expected to benefit from the training, which is organized by the county government and private sector. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Saeed.
Now, the Kajiado County government has opened an open-air market along the Kenya-Tanzania border in efforts aimed at boosting cross-border trade. County Governor Ole Lenku noted the opening of the market will help weed out middlemen who take advantage of the traders along the border.
According to data from the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, the value of goods imported by Kenya from Tanzania stood at 18.3 billion shillings in the first 6 months of 2021, while Kenya's export to Tanzania stood at $158 million in the same period. However, the presence of middlemen along the Kenya-Tanzania border remains a hurdle for small-scale traders.
Soko liko town, si ndio? Si ndio wa Tanzania? Na tena jambo ambalo limetufurahisha ni kwamba wakati kunaponyesha viazi havinyeshewi. Ile sehemu tulikuwa viazi ilikuwa inanyeshewa, si ndio wazee? Na sisi wenyewe, lakini nashukuru Mungu maana hili wazo tunajua ni Mungu alikuwa.
The operationalization of the illicit market creates a conducive environment for cross-border trade.
Hawa ndugu kuwepo hapa ni kuhakikisha kwamba usalama upo, na kwa hivyo mjue usalama upo na itaendelea kuwepo. Ndugu wa Tanzania, marafiki wetu, tunatambua kwamba huwezi enda nchi zingine kama usalama haiko bora. Usalama Kenya iko sawa, usalama hapa Illicit iko sawa, na kwa hivyo mali yenu itakuwa sawa.
Going forward, traders are optimistic that they will get value for their products. Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Now let's cross over to Abimbo area in Bondo County, where rescue efforts are still underway as rescuers work round the clock to dig through the rubble in desperate attempts to find 8 men trapped in a mine. And this is after the 8 were trapped after a mining shaft caved in Thursday afternoon. Our reporter Simon Achola is on the ground and has more details. Achola, kindly bring us to speed.
Anxiety, apprehension, and even uncertainty hangs large on this village as thousands, or hundreds, if not thousands, of the villagers of Abimbo village in South Sacco, Bondo constituency of Siaya County have actually gathered here in the minefields here to try and rescue about 8 of their loved ones who actually still stuck inside the minefields. We are told that this incident happened yesterday, Jacky, at around 3 p.m. in the 3 p.m. and we are told that there were about 11 people who were actually in the minefields who are trying to look for gold in the minefields. And exactly what happened was that the tiny tunnels that actually lead them to where the gold is actually caved in, and 3 of them managed to escape, and 8 of them are actually still trapped underneath. And efforts since yesterday at around 3 p.m. has been on in terms of ensuring that they are actually rescued. As you can actually see behind me is that these machines were actually here very early at just shortly after 3 p.m. and they've been doing everything within their means to try and rescue those still trapped inside. As you can see, the fields have been excavated, and it's usually not this big. It's usually tiny tunnels that actually lead underneath to where, of course, they will find the gold. But what they've been doing is that they've tried to excavate the area so that then they get to where the 8 are still trapped underneath. And as I speak to you right now, the machines cannot move because we are being told that that when the machines move further than where they are now, that the soils continue to cave in, now endangering the lives of those who are still underneath. We are told that the 8 are still alive and have actually been communicating with and actually telling them exactly what is happening. Now, the person who is actually who has parcel of those who are trying to rescue those trapped underneath. Tells me that there's one who is actually just trapped not far away from this point, and they say that the tunnel caved in just before you get now the underneath where they're actually doing the excavation, and then of course on top of him, so he's actually trapped in between outside and of course the other group, the 7 who are actually still underneath, and what they're doing is to try to access who is actually the one who is actually trapped just nearby before they can actually now open the other tunnel that actually leads to where the 7 are actually trapped. But just to give us an insight of exactly what has been happening since yesterday, I have a well-wisher here who will actually brief us exactly what has happened. Kindly introduce yourself and tell us what you've been doing since yesterday.
Mimi naitwa Fredrick Opondo Dweyo, mimi ni operator wa mashini. So tumeingia hapa jana saa 9 ambapo wenzangu walikuwa wamekwama kwa shimo kuanzia asubuhi saa 6. So tumengangana kuanzia muda wa saa 9 siku kucha, tumekesha hapa, tumekuwa tukichimba, tumekuwa tukicommunicate na wengine juu kuna mapipe ziko ndani ya shimo. So tumekuwa tukiongea na anatuambia karibu mnanifikia, tunazidi kuchimba. So by the time tunachimba, tukifika hizo box zinavunjika zinarudi ndani. So is like tunachimba zina sink zikirudi ndani. So chini kama kuna nafasi, waliosalia wengine wako chini 7. Lakini mmoja aliyekuwa mlia juu amekwama kwa njia ya kutoka
ya kufikia kwa wale wengine. Pengine tu nikuuliza kama kuna uwezekano ukweli wa kuweza kupata wale 8 ambao bado wamekwama kule ndani.
Shida iliyoko chini pia kuna maji inavuja, na kawaida wakiwa kazini wanatumia mashini kutoa maji. Sasa wewe fikiria kuanzia jana saa 6 mpaka wakati huu hakuna maji imeondolewa, hakuna chakula imeingia. So kuna mmoja ambaye amekuwa katika chemchemi ya kutoka, amekuwa akiongea kwa pipe, tunamsikiza. Lakini imefika muda sasa hatuwezi tukampata tena. So ni kwa vile tukichimba ile udongo inazidi kurudi kwa shimo. So ni kama imeinterfere pia na yeye. Sasa yeye mwenyewe sauti haitoki tena. So tunachimba tu kikazana tukiwa na nia, maybe tutapata ule, tukipata wawili watatu walio hai ni sawa, lakini hatuna uhakika sababu shimo ni mawili. Kuna shimo moja pande hii ambapo wenye wako ndani hatujaongea nao, hakuna communication yoyote. Lakini waliko kwa shimo pande ile mwingine kuna pipe ilikuwa imeelekea kule. So hao ndio tunaweza kuongea nao. Kwa huko hatuji hali yao, hatuji chochote.
Kwa hivyo unamaanisha kwamba hali ya wale 7 ambao wako katika sehemu moja hatuwezi jua kama wako sawa ama hawako sawa, ila tunajaribu tu kila liwezekanazo ili tuweze kuwafikia.
Hatuna habari kamili sababu anayeongea alikuwa upande wa juu kwa tunnel akipanda juu. Wengine wako chini yake. So wale walioko chini hawezi panda wakavuka wakakuja juu. Ni hadi yeye atolewe. Yeye kwa sasa hatumpati aongei. Tangu tuchimbe udongo ikarudi chini hatumpati aongei.
Tumeona mmekuwa mkitumia hizi excavators kujaribu kuwafikia, si ndio? Lakini imefika wakati sasa tumesema kwamba sasa tuwezi tumia tena. Sasa ni watu wanachimba kwa kutumia mikono yao na ndoo. Pengine nini haswa inafaa kuletwa ndio tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba tunaweza kufikia wale?
Ni kwa vile ule aliyenusurika alituambia ile umbali tumeenda, hiyo ndio umbali walikuwa na mwenzake. Juu sababu alipotoka ndio pale ikafunga. So mahali tumefika ni kama futi 60. So alituambia yule mwenzake alikuwa futi 60. Tukaona tukielekeza mashini pale, huenda tukazidi kumuumiza. So mahali tumefika ni wenzake watumie mkono kutoa udongo ili tuone kama tutamfikia kama ako hai ama hata kama amekufa.
Kutokea jana saa 9 hadi sasa ni takriban karibu masaa 20 na zaidi, si ndio? Swali tu pengine tunauliza ni kwamba tutahakikisha pengine wale wameweza kupata chakula ama maji kuhakikisha kwamba wanazidi kuwa sawa, ama tunajaribu sana jinsi iwezekanavyo tuweze kuwafikia.
Inachoingia pale ni hewa peke yake. Tunatumia compressor kupiga hewa. Juu kabla shimo izibe kulikuwa na mtambo ya compressor waliokuwa wakitumia kuchimba chini. So ile pipe ya hewa ilisalia pale chini. So wanachopokea pale peke yake ni hewa. Kuna chakula, kuna maji. Labda wanywe maji linatoka kule chini kwa chemchemi. Juu pale chini kuna maji inavuja ambao wanatoa kila mara wakifanya kazi, kila baada ya dakika 30. Sasa wewe fikiria dakika 30 ngapi zimepita kuanzia jana saa 6 mpaka saa hii, na ni kiasi gani cha maji kiko pale chini.
Kumaanisha tuna wasiwasi kwamba iwapo hatutapata mbinu mbadala ya kuhakikisha kwamba tunawafikia, basi tunaweza wapoteza
kabisa.
Naam, shukran sana. Of course, that is just one of the locals here who actually turned up here to try and rescue the miners who are actually in the tunnels. I'll just talk to another of the rescuers here who actually says that he was also here early, so that then he briefs us exactly what is happening. Yes. Jitambulishe kwanza jina lako.
Mimi kwa majina naitwa David Jugi Wainaina. Mimi ni operator wa hiyo machine, the excavator. Nimekuja hapa nikiwa nimetumwa na kampuni yangu inaitwa King Construction. Ndio nimekuja kusaidia kuokoa ambao.
Well, that is our reporter Simon Achola coming live from Abimbo area in Bondo, Siaya County, where rescue efforts are still underway in attempts to find 8 men trapped in a mine in Abimbo. Remember, the 8 were trapped when the walls of a mining shaft caved in Thursday afternoon. We shall be keeping you updated as events unfold. For now, we move on. The National Environmental Complaints Committee has raised a red flag over the future of Lake Olbolosat, located in Nyandarua County and the only lake in central region following its degradation due to massive encroachment of its riparian land. The environmental watchdog has since formed a multi-agency task force to spearhead the takeover of the management of the lake by the Kenya Wildlife Service.
The agency called for the gazettement of the lake for better management by the KWS. NECC committee member Isabella Masinde says the abandonment of the lake, which is both salty and fresh, will result in its erosion and eternal collapse.
Vile sisi tunaelewa hakuna mtu anafaa awe anakaa hapo mahali, kwa sababu hiyo ni riparian area na hiyo ni mahali hawa wanyama walikuwa malisho ya hawa wanyama ya kila siku tangu zamani. Sasa tumekuwa na mkutano na maofisa kwa hii county pamoja na county government, na tumesikizana multi agency team iangalie hiyo maneno, waone vile watarekebisha.
Tumeona kwamba watu wamencroach hii lake na wamejenga kwa lake kwa riparian area, na watu wameweka fence, wanalima, na pia kuna hata mitaro ambayo imechimbwa na county government kujaribu kuzuia wanyama ambao ni hippos wasije wakaenda kwa kuharibia watu mashamba. Lakini hawa watu, hata hiyo mashamba inasemekana inaharibiwa, ni mashamba yote ambayo yako ndani ya riparian area.
The KWS added that in 12 months, 10 hippos died near the lake after succumbing to injuries inflicted to them by locals. KWS warden Gabriel Kiyo called on residents to value the lake.
Wanaoishi karibu Lake Olbolosat inafaa waelimishwe namna ya kufanya alternative livelihood that is compatible to wildlife conservation. Maybe tuwafundishe kuondokea kilimo sana, ndio tuweze fanya protection pale na tuweze promote tourism.
Lake Olbolosat is a freshwater lake and lies 7,600 feet above sea level and below the Aberdare mountain ranges, supporting a large human and wildlife population. Yusuf Hilo, Lunchtime News.
Well, we now move on to the interview segment, whereby we are joined by David Njugi, who is the CEO of Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, and we shall be taking a look at matters revolving around innovation in clean cooking. And well, according to a recent study by the Kenya cooking sector, it is estimated that complications from household air pollution through inefficient stoves and fuels claims 21,560 lives annually in Kenya, while the most affected people are the women and children below the age of 5 who spend most of their time with their mothers. Well, to kick us off, maybe David, kindly, first of all, welcome to the program, and then maybe to kick us off, tell us why it is important to adopt clean cooking in every Kenyan household, and maybe what are the benefits as well as the disadvantages.
Okay, thank you for having me here today. I'm David from the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, and as you have said, majority of Kenyans use dirty and polluting fuels to cook, and that has an adverse effect on their health, their environment, as well as their incomes. So health-wise, dirty cooking with dirty and polluting fuels like paraffin, charcoal, firewood, using open fires and inefficient stoves leads to health complications because we inhale the smoke, what we call the small particles that we inhale while cooking. That go to and spoil our lungs and become susceptible to respiratory diseases and even COVID to that effect. So that is what you're calling household air pollution, and because of it, close to 21,560 people lose their lives every year because of that, which is a huge number. And of course, the effect it has on the environment, the degradation of our forests. For us to achieve the 10% minimum forest cover without transition into clean cooking will be a dream. So that is also the case. The charcoal that we're talking about, for example, is also not cheap. It's quite expensive if you compare that with gas or with even electric cooking equipment, solutions like bioethanol, biogas. They are cheaper than actually charcoal and cleaner, and of course save the environment.
You've mentioned LPG. So we've seen the 16% VAT imposed on LPG. Do you think this would reverse gains made in eliminating the use of biomass fuels?
It's unfortunate that VAT was reintroduced. Now LPG is now vatable, meaning that the 16% is being passed on to the consumers. It's unfortunate because the uptake was growing, and this is going to decelerate the adoption or the use of LPG in the market. And we've requested the government to actually have a look at that again, and we've seen a proposal to reduce it to 8%. But I would say we should be at 0 because we need to promote cleaner forms of cooking, and not only for LPG, for even the other fuels as well. At the moment, they are VAT exempt, that is biogas, bioethanol, and even briquettes, which are made from waste material and all that. So we need government to actually take this matter seriously. We are losing lives, we are losing our forests. It's expensive to the people who are targeted for these solutions. They don't have this money, so it's upon government to actually prioritize clean cooking.
So the government plans to curb Kenya's strong reliance on solid biomass fuels by the year 2028, especially in the rural areas where over 80% of households depend on firewood and charcoal. Do you think this is attainable?
The 2028 target is quite ambitious, I would say. Is it possible? Yes, if everybody plays their part, government provides the enabling environment, the private sector will automatically respond to that, because one of the issues that we have at the moment is an unpredictable policy environment where taxes are introduced in an ad hoc manner. We do not have a tax policy that really guides on how to support a growing sector like clean cooking. So the unpredictability, doesn't work very well with investors. They want a stable policy environment where they can, project their returns and know how to invest. So it's achievable, but it will require policy support, to require mobilizing investments into the sector, and I think the private sector is ready if the government was to provide that enabling environment for them to invest.
Before we take a look at the stakeholders coming in to aid in the curb, maybe what are the immediate interventions that the government can put in place to curb the reliance on solid biomass fuels in Kenya?
What the government needs to do urgently is to provide incentives to the sector. We've requested them to exempt the clean and improved stoves from VAT as well as LPG to make it affordable, because affordability is a key barrier to the adoption and the uptake of this technology. So we've requested that they remove the VAT from the stoves, as well as the gas, the fuels in the sector, so that they are made available, and make sure that this intervention is sustained for at least five years for private sector to really come in, invest, and grow that demand, because we are talking about 70% of households using biomass as of now, which is a lot of people. 59% using open fires, the mawe matatu to cook, which is quite unfortunate. So with incentives coming in place and create the awareness, creating that awareness, then we'll see the uptake actually growing, because awareness is also a key barrier. A lot of people are not aware of the solutions that are available. They are not aware of the impacts cooking with paraffin or those open fires has on their health. They are not aware of the savings that they would actually be making if they were to adopt cleaner options.
As we wind up, Kenya's economy backbone comprises largely of SMEs. In terms of innovation, how can they come in to address this issue, and as well as at the same time factor in stakeholders?
The space, actually, the clean cooking space, is the majority of the players there are actually SMEs. I would say all of them are SMEs. We have, of course, SMEs at different levels. We have the big players, what we could call the bigger SMEs, and the smaller ones, the micro SMEs. So we need to support that ecosystem, because the challenges that SMEs face in any sector are similar. Access to finance is a challenge. They have a challenge in terms of capacity that needs to be addressed. Even the way they operate, the way they do their distribution to enhance. There's need to enhance their operations, their distribution, their marketing. They need finance so that they can grow, they can scale up their production, and as such, government needs to look at it from a holistic point of view. SMEs in the country are hurting because of taxation, because of regulation, and these are issues that need to be addressed. We need to build the capacity of these SMEs. We need to avail to them financing options that are comfortable, that can address the issues that they are facing, whether it's working capital, whether it's capital to invest in the growth of their business. And these are things that the government can really support through policy, and giving the incentives for them to actually grow their businesses.
Well, that was David Njogi, who is the CEO of Clean Cooking Association of Kenya. Well, thank you so much, sir, for gracing us with your presence here. Well, up next is the sports news, whereby moving on, we'll take that break. Well, and in the sports arena, champions Nairobi Water successfully defended their East and Central Africa handball title after beating all their opponents in this year's event held in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Nairobi Water defeated Kiziguro 32-18 today morning to win the title they won back in 2019. It was a one-sided encounter that saw the Kenyan side take 19-12 lead at halftime and controlled the second half to secure the vital win and the 2021 title. On their way to the title, Nairobi Water defeated Ngome, JKT and Cereals before sealing the title win, the win against Kiziguro. A total of 9 teams took part in the tournament ending tomorrow in Tanzania. Nairobi Water head coach Jack Herbert said experience earned his side the title for yet another time. And a British Sports School of Excellence will be opened in Eternal Gale, Marakwet County in a bid to nurture talent in other sporting activities apart from athletics. This was confirmed by founder of Iten Training Camp and a veteran athletics coach Joseph Cheromei, who said that the project, which was signed between Elgeyo Marakwet County government and the British government, is set to culminate in 2025.
Iten in Elgeyo Marakwet County has produced top athletics creams who have made major strides in putting Kenya into glory on the global map. In a bid to continue nurturing talent and promoting other sporting activities, a British Sports School of Excellence will be opened in the region after an increased emphasis on the pursuit of elite sporting achievement.
Iten is a place yenye hata last year niliongea na watu kutoka Britain wakuja watengeneze School of Excellence ile tuwe na lessons ya kutrain wakimbiaji na kufundisha hawa how to stay, how to invest. So Iten is a growing and Iten as large is a growing county in athletics. Ni ile tu bado ni ichakuwa so expensive na watu ni wengi.
The project, which was initiated by the British government and signed by Elgeyo Marakwet County, is set to culminate in 2025. The region is well known for its athletics prowess, having produced top creams including 2021 New York City Marathon champion Peres Jepchirchir, 2021 Istanbul Half Marathon champion Kibiwot Kandie, and 3 times winner of Berlin Marathon Gladys Cherono, among others. Frederick Muki for Channel 1 Sports.
Manchester United's Cristiano Ronaldo produced yet another top-shelf performance